The Supreme Court, which is monitoring the updation of the controversial National Register of Citizens or NRC in Assam, will today once again hear the NRC case. One of the last hearings on the case before the publication of the final NRC list on the 31st of August, a deadline earlier fixed by the Supreme Court. Today's hearing at the Apex Court is crucial since it needs to fix how two key issues of the Citizenship Act would be implemented in the final NRC. The coordinator has earlier sought directions after a petition at the Supreme Court on what happens to the fate of those who are born before 3rd of December 2004 if one of their parents is declared a foreigner. Well, let's go across to Ratnadeep for more on this. And Ratnadeep, meanwhile, there's also the issue of re-verification that is taking place. And today, a crucial hearing to take place in the Supreme Court over various issues regarding the publication of this citizenship list at the end of the month.
That's right, Gargi. In fact, as far as the re-verification is concerned, now several individuals, intellectuals, political parties, as well as civil society groups have written to the Chief Justice of India, Ranjan Gogoi, complaining about the fresh re-verification drive that the NRC actually undertook this week. Remember, they had served thousands of people fresh notices on 3rd of August and asked people to travel 300 to 400 kilometers away to attend re-verification drive to check their legacy data once again between 5th and 7th August, and this led to a lot of chaos. In fact, there have been several cases of accidents due to rush driving. At least 4 people who were NRC applicants have died in those accidents. Over 40 people are dead. So this created a lot of confusion and chaos, and people are not happy. But today in the Supreme Court, a very, very crucial issue is coming up that the Supreme Court needs to fix before the final NRC is published. Now, according to the Citizenship Act, anybody who is born before 3rd of December 2004, if any of his or her parents is Indian, then he automatically becomes an Indian. But however, an amendment to that rule came after a few years back, and that amendment said that anybody who is born after 3rd of December 2004, and if any of his or her parents is a declared illegal migrant, then he will not be considered as an Indian citizen. So this is a paradoxical kind of a situation, and the NRC wanted a clarity on this. So the Supreme Court will give a clear direction in terms of what happens to this kind of cases in the NRC. Also, the NRC authorities had asked Supreme Court what happens to those people who were declared as Indian under the IMDT Act. Remember, till 2005, anybody would be judged whether he is a foreigner or an Indian in Assam through the IMDT Act and not through the Foreigners Act. That act was scrapped by the Supreme Court in 2005, but there have been several judgments in 2005 given under this act. So the NRC wanted a clarity in terms of what happens to these people who have, in past been declared Indians by this act. So the Supreme Court is supposed to give a clarity on this. Also, it will be interesting whether the Supreme Court entertains fresh petitions filed by several parties in this case for asking for a re-verification. According to sources, we have got to know that at least several parties have asked for re-verification from 10 to 100% of the draft NRC list. So whether the Supreme Court entertains that is something to that we need to watch for. Remember, last month when the center and state went forward and asked the Supreme Court for a re-verification, it turned down, saying that the NRC has already informed that automatic 27% re-verification of the names which are there on the draft NRC has already taken place during the claims and objection phase. But now that there is a lot of complaints going to the CGI over this move of the NRC authorities of calling for re-verification earlier this week, which has created a lot of confusion and chaos. What will be the stand of the Supreme Court is something that would be interesting. Remember, there is a clear violation of the standard operating procedure laid by the Supreme Court itself in this time, because it clearly says that you have to give 15 days notice to the people, but people were given about 40 hours notice to attend hearings 400 kilometers away. So what would be the take of the Supreme Court on this would be something which we really look to, we need to watch for, and also how Supreme Court fixes some vexed issues of the Citizenship Act as it moves towards publishing the final NRC.